Good morning, everyone. How are you? Happy cold day. Anyhow, I'm Reva with Quality Sewing and Vacuum, and we are here for our How Do I series, and this is going to be a fun one. It's kind of something that I've been working on. It's doing applique with felt. So I thought I would show you the process to do it because it's really actually easy. And you might get one of these kits. You might have one of these kits. It's not something that, that we have. Go ahead and let's zoom in here. This is not, oh, I guess we got to move the camera a little bit. There we go. So this is just some kits that I have, and they come with the wool felt and everything, but I thought I would show you how to do this. Now, these aren't something that we have that you can purchase, but I know that you have things like this at home. So what I was going to show you is how to make this real simple applique that we have here. Now, this applique is really simple, and it's something that I created just by using the lettering program on my computer, and I just printed out the letters I wanted. So I've got my LOVE, and then I also have an X and an O. So really simple. You don't really need a pattern for this, but if you need one, you can get one. So let's talk about the things that we're going to need to create wool felt applique or felt applique. So we have the background of this particular project is all fabric, and it's the letters and the hearts that are the felt. And you can use craft felt for this, you can use embroidery felt for this, you can use wool felt, whatever you want to use, and that just gives a really nice dimension, and it holds the decorative stitches really well, which I'm going to talk about the decorative stitches as well. So let's talk about getting the pattern where you want it to go on your fabric. Now, you can trace the design right on your fabric, but there is an easier way, and that is by using this fabulous stuff right here. This is called Applique Fuse and Fix. So what this is a paper-backed fusible web. And so you can run it through your printer, you can draw on it, you can do whatever you want, and then you can transfer that to your fabric. So you're not having to you can get those perfect lines, right? Because you're working with either the pattern or you can print it off. So let's talk about the two different ways here. So here is just one of my pattern pieces right here. And I'm going to take that, let me get rid of, I have both my pattern pieces here, but I don't want it to shadow through. Now, what really works really well, and I didn't bring it out to show you, but if you have like one of the light boxes from Caterpillar, that works really well because then you really see your pattern through there. But all you're going to do is take a pencil, and I'm using a Sharpie because I figured you could see this easier, and all you're going to do is simply trace your pattern right on the fabric. So it's really simple. Now there's two sides to this material. One side is rough and bumpy, and that's the fusible side. The other side is paper. So we're going to put our tracing or our pattern on the paper side, okay? Just like that. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're just going to rough cut this out, because let's assume that we've traced all of our pieces and we want to have each item a different color. Then you would just rough cut out your pattern piece just like this, and then we're going to flip this over to our pressing side. I love having this by my desk because it does both. And then we're going to grab a piece of felt, and we'll see if that will fit. Let's take a look. Oh, it just fits on there. Perfect. So I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to press it down. So now I have the paper side up, and the fusible side is down against the felt. Okay. So this is so easy. And then with that, one thing you want to think about, if you have something that is it's reversed, like the L right here, you can see how that is, the L is an L, right? If you are working with something that has a definite right or wrong direction, you want to trace it in the mirror image because you need to cut it out and it's going to go this way. Does that make sense? So when you're tracing or you're printing, flip it into mirror image. Okay, cool. All right, so let's take a look real quick at, here's one that I printed off on the printer. So it's the same thing. This went right through the printer. I've got the one side is the fusible, the other side is the printed side. Oh, one of the things I want you to notice is the O does have a middle, right? I did not cut the middle out. I made it really easy and I just plopped that cute little heart in its place. Okay, so let's talk about cutting this out. So now when you're cutting these out, you're going to want to go ahead and just cut out as closely as you can on that line. Now, one thing that I find makes it easier to cut a straight line, because I am not the best cutter, is to not look at right where I'm cutting, but look where I'm going and aim the scissors down to where we're going, and that gives me a much straighter line. Okay, and I got a little jiggy-jaggy on my corner there, so I'm going to trim him off. Another thing you can do is you can use a rotary cutter and cut it that way. And this is one of the little 28mm rotary cutters, which is really nice because then that can get around the corners really nice. So if I want to go around the curve, I can just take this, and since it's a small rotary, it will go right around my little curve, and that just works so easy. I love it. Okay, so let's get around this one last bit. Actually, I have another one already done. Oh, I should show you how to use this. I love this rotary cutter. It is a Quilter Select rotary cutter, and this mat, the cutting mat with the felt pad on there is also Quilter Select. But there's a lot of confusion with this rotary cutter if you haven't used it before. It does come in the 28, a 45, and a 60. So you can get 3 different sizes. Each does different things. The small one's good for smaller curves, arm size, things like that. The 45 is your standard everyday one. And then the 60 is great for thicker fabrics, lots of layers for polar fleece, denim, things like that. But let's look at how this works. So if you notice, it has a safety that's on it all the time. So I'm not touching the blade at all right now. There's this little button right here. All you have to do is put your thumb on that button and push and set it down and start to cut, and the blade is exposed. You don't have to hold the button down, you just put it down initially. And then when you're done cutting, just turn it over and touch the mat with the guard, and it puts it right back in place. So just push the button, set it down, let go, and cut. And then turn it over to close it. Okay, very easy. Okay, so let's take a look at what I have. I have a heart that's been pre-cut out, and it's going to be really fantastic. And we're going to actually fuse it onto some fabric, and I'm going to put it onto this little piece of fabric right here. And I'm going to take my heart and I'll peel it off. Now, when you peel off the backing paper, it's sticky, which is awesome because this will allow you to place it where you want it to go, and it's not going to go anywhere. Isn't that fantastic? How many times have you tried to do something like this with an applique and you've tried to pin it around, and then it's so easy to keep this in place, and you don't have to worry about those pins. Okay, so this is awesome. This is fun, but now we're going to make it even better because we're going to do decorative stitches on this. Now, decorative stitches, when you're working with decorative stitches, your fabric needs to be stabilized. Okay, now you might want to use your stabilizer for embroidery. You can do that. That's fine to do. But the challenge with it is that sometimes it's hard to remove from a decorative stitch because a decorative stitch doesn't necessarily have the full density that an embroidery stitch, an embroidery design has, which a tearaway would tear away really simply from that, right? Well, if you're working with a decorative stitch, you don't want the bobbin or the threads to break when you pull away the stabilizer. So this is my absolute favorite stuff. This is the Quilter Select Tearaway. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. Quilter Select Tearaway. Here's your instructions right in here. And I always roll this. Do you see how I'm rolling it in toward the label? I do that because then I can pop it inside my tube. I want to go this way. Inside my tube. And then when I'm at home, because this is actually mine, I can peek in the tube and see what stabilizer it is. I know you can't see it from there because it's, you know, but I can. I can see it says Tearaway right on there. Okay, now what makes this really fantastic is it's extremely lightweight. I would say it would be like a starched piece of exam paper, right? It's not as lightweight as exam paper, it's more beefy, but it's really nice and light and thin, so it's not going to damage your stitches when you remove it. Now back in the day, let's go back, rewind 25 years, when all we had was decorative stitches. There was stuff similar to this that was not as good as this that came on a roll. It was called Stitch and Ditch, right? Did any of you remember that? Who remembers that? If you remember Stitch and Ditch, put it in the comments, because that was it. Or we would go to the doctor and steal exam paper, but it didn't really work really well because it wasn't designed to tear away from the stitches really well. So what this is a lightweight tearaway, and on this side right here, the inside, you can feel it. It has kind of a silky side and a fibrous side. The fibrous side is the stabilizer. The smooth satiny feeling side is, it's not waxed, but it has a little bit of a product in there that actually is heat sensitive, and it's going to adhere to the back of our fabric. So I'm just going to cut a square. Now this is something I really suggest if you do any type of applique, machine applique, or anything like that, you want to have this right near your sewing machine. Don't get it mixed up in with your stabilizer because it's white. It looks like all the other white stuff, right? So, but take this, and you want to take that smooth side and put it behind your work, you know, the fabric that you're going to work with, and you're going to fuse it down. Now the fusing is not permanent, but look at how nice that is. Oops, sorry, down here. See how nice that is? It has fused really nice, and you can see I have that little corner up, but so just so no one stresses out, we'll just take that little corner down, and maybe it's me, I don't want to stress out. But anyway, so now when we stitch on here, the fabric has the, it has the support that it's needed so that the stitches don't bunch up. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done a decorative stitch where instead of it laying nice and flat, it tunnels and it bunches? That's the job for the Select Tearaway. This will help with that. Okay, so let's go to the machine. And I'm working on the FOF Performance Icon today, and I absolutely love this machine. And the reason why is it has so many great stitches in it, and it just feeds. It just does such a beautiful, beautiful job. So now I'm going to go over, and I want to grab. Let's grab a decorative stitch. I'm going to go quilting stitches, and I want to grab a blanket stitch. So that would be, let's try that one right there and see if that's the one we want. Nope, I want, where'd he go? This one. That one's better. Okay, so there's a stitch that we're going to work with. So a blanket stitch goes down, over, back, down, over, back. And we're going to do that on the edge. Let's take a look at the runner, really a close-up of the runner here. Other one, Jessie, there you go. You see how I put the blankets? Oh, that's a, you guys are like expert crew there. Look at that. So that's the blanket stitch that we're going to do right now. Okay. All right. So now if you're, you might be curious, I have the Wonderful Glamour thread on the machine, and that is, let's go back to the machine. Can we, Carrie, can we go back to the machine? So this is the Glamour thread that we have in the Artist Palettes, which are such pretty colors, but look at how sparkly it is. And this is what I used on the table runner. Now, if you look at this stitch, I'm going to put you to the test, Alyssa. You can see that the stitch is all the way over to the right-hand side. You might not be able to see, but there's a little, can you zoom way in just for a second? Can you see how, there we go. Come on, focus. Focus. There we go. Okay, so see how there's a line here, and then there's another little dotted, let me go back to that so you can see it. See the dotted line on both sides? That is the width the capability of the machine to stitch left to right. Okay, most of your machine nowadays, if you have a modern machine, will show you how the stitch is going to sew out. So we're going to go ahead and choose our stitch, and notice it's all the way over on the right hand side. So that means my needle is going to fall on the right hand side. Another thing I love about this machine is, see that little green plus sign? It's showing me exactly where the needle is right now. So I know that the needle is all the way on the right hand side, and it's going to sew on the right, then it's going to pick over to the left, then it's going to go back to the right. Okay, that's the anatomy of our stitch. Now I am going to start sewing over about right here. I'm not going to start on a point. I'm going to start right about here, and we're going to go around, and I'm going to show you inside curves and outside curves. Okay, so let's put this underneath the foot. So we're going to come over here, and now what I like to do is I like to work with the needle down function. So I'm going to go ahead and put my foot down and see where I'm positioned. And I need to move it, so I pushed my needle down again, and let's just get that positioned right on the side. And now I'm going to activate my needle down function so my needle is in the fabric. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, oh, there's a message on my screen. It says that my IDT is not set according to the suggested settings. Okay, so I'm going to say okay, and I'm actually going to now raise my foot, and I'm going to engage my dual feed, so that way my dual feed is helping me stitch, because it will actually have that fabric going through smoothly and not getting kind of hung up. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead here. It's starting over. Oh, that's not the one I want. I'm going to go back. I lied. That's the stitch I want. Because that one had and I didn't listen. Look at what I did. I will show you what I did. And then we're going to fix it, and then you can see why it's important to pay attention to what your machine shows you. The first stitch I showed you was all the way over on the right, wasn't it? And then this one, the one I wanted, is not a centered stitch, so it started stitching there. So we're going to come back here, and I'll just see if I can pull out my bobbin threads. If you pull your bobbin threads, you usually can get your needle thread right out. Okay, so now I want to start over. So on the front of my machine, I have a little triangle with a little dash above it, and this is my pattern restart. I'm going to do that, and then now I'm going to go ahead and put my foot down and put my needle into the fabric, and we're good to go now. There we go. Okay, so now when you start going around a corner, or I'm sorry, curve, what I like to do, if I have a curve coming up, is you can, oh, my needle down is not activated. Okay, now it is. You can stop and pivot, but stop on the outside. The traveling line is the one that you want to stop and start on, not the inside pick. Because if you're doing a blanket stitch, you want that to be straight. If you stop on the inside of the pick, you end up with a V, not a line. So go ahead and you can pivot that way, or you can anchor your finger and it will start going around the curve. And that's another way to help you get go around the curve, is by anchoring your finger into that into the shape. Okay. All right. Does that make sense? I'm going kind of slow, I know, but that's okay. You go as fast or as slow as you want. And now we're at a sharper spot, so I picked up and pivot. If you have a pivot function on your machine, that's awesome. And if you don't know what that is, that just means when I stop, my foot raises up so I can reposition my fabric. Sometimes it's called hover. If you're on a Bernina, it's called hover. Okay, so I'm coming to my inside point. So now I have to decide, my needle's right on the inside of the heart there, and I have to decide if I want to add another pick stitch or not, and I think I do. And then I'm going to stop, and I'm going to rotate it completely back the other direction, and we're going to start going around this way. Okay, and I'm at a sharper point, so we'll... Now another thing you can do, and I'll do that now, is if you want to make your stitch wider. Maybe you want to make it nice and wide, and I might want So I increased it to 3.5 in the width, and I'll take it to 3.5 in the length just to show you the difference. So then you're going to get a lot more of a dramatic look. And if you're using a fun thread, you might want to use a longer stitch length, because the longer the stitch length, the more exposed your thread is. So that's kind of a fun thing. Okay, so we're going to be in the straightaway here, and I want to show you how to do an outside corner. We did the inside corner up at the top of the heart. So when we come down here, now, okay, so now I'm going to stop in the point, and actually I'm going to raise my foot up, and I'm not quite to the point, but a full stitch is too long and I'm going to be off the fabric. So I'm going to raise my foot to that, just that wee little bit. If you have a knee lift, this is a great thing to do, or you can just use your pivot feature and just lift it up. Okay, so now I have turned the corner, and let me see, hold on. Let me see if I can get in here. Can you see that now, Alyssa? Is that, yeah. So you see this little stitch is right here. It is right at the very top. So I don't want to start right now. It's in the cycle where it's going to want to pick over. So I don't want to do that, but I do want to get this foot back on. And this is the open toe foot, and if you have the option of using an open toe foot, it's awesome because you can really see what you're doing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my pattern again. So remember how before I told you I touched that pattern start button, and that will put me back at the beginning. If you don't have a pattern start button, you may need to go choose a different stitch and then come back, so that way you're at the very beginning of the repeat for your stitch. Okay, so now off we go. So that's how you're going to do an outside corner. And now we'll just raise it up. And you're not going to tie off. You're going to go ahead and pull this out. And see, I like the, what do you think? I like the longer stitches better than the little stitches. What do you guys think? I think that looks better. Okay, so here is the thread we just ended with. This is the one I started with. We'll see if we can get that one. I should have taken care of that one already, but I didn't. So here is the one that just ended. So what I'm going to do is give that a little bit of a pull, and I'm going to see that, I don't know, let me get this angled so you can see. So right here, can you see it's there? You can see that little head right there. It's starting to poke through. So now, if we just give it a little bit of a tug, we're going to be able to grab that and fish that whole tail to the back side. I'm not sure if I can get this one. Oh, maybe I can. Maybe I can. Yeah, probably not. He's too buried. Oh, no, here he is. Here he is. Here he is. There's the one from the start. There's our tail from the start. But can I get him out, or is he caught? Oh, there he comes. There he comes. There he comes. All right. Voila. So now we have, well, I almost got it all. Take care of your first threads when you get halfway through. Okay, but now you've got the threads to the back, and so it looks really cute. So what I should have done is when I got to this point and I was stopping to turn anyway, I should have had it under the machine, flipped over, pulled that thread, and dealt with that first tail right away, and then continued on the way. Now, if you're going to be having this be exposed, you might go ahead and tie a knot first. Okay, so now let's look at other decorative stitches that you can use, because we have done, I'm going to bring this over since we have a nice big, we have a nice close up over here. We're going to take a look at it right here. So here we've got some really fun decorative stitches that were used, all using that glamour thread. And so I love the little daisy stitch. Almost every machine has a daisy stitch. This is a triple straight stitch, and then I love the cross stitches on this machine. And that's, let's go to the front video and see if that will work, because we're frozen. Okay. All right. So what I will do is I don't know, just kind of give you a little bit more information because I actually got through just about everything. So what I just want you to know is that if you have a pattern that's applique of any kind, if you're going to do machine embroidery, or if you're doing hand embroidery, or you want to do something like the decorative stitches, that's really cool. You still can use the applique fuse and fix, and you can put that on the back of your fabric. Remember to mirror image it if it has a right or a left side, and go ahead and fuse that to the back of whatever fabric you're working with, and then when you peel it off, it's sticky, it will hold right in place. It's really wonderful for machine hooped embroidery, because if you were doing machine embroidery, you know, you don't want to get your fingers near that needle, right? So this is absolutely awesome for that. And then, of course, if you're doing handwork, who wants pins? Especially if you're on the go, right? Pre-fuse your fabric, you can trim. I don't know about you, but soccer practice was always something that I like to do stuff with because, you know, that was a lot of practicing. Okay, let's talk about removing this really quick. So we're going to come back up here real close to the mat here. And when you tear off your stabilizer, you're going to find that this tears really, really simply, but you want to tear in toward the stitches. I don't want to fight the stitches. I want to let that perforation that the machine made help me out. So I'm going to get it started by just tearing it a little bit right there, making a tear. And I'm going to come down to my stitches and see how the heart is right there. I am pulling toward it. I'll hold it up a little bit so you can kind of see. Maybe you can't see. How about this? What if I did this? Stop moving it. Sherry says, stop moving it. You got it? Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we're going to just tear toward the threads. And then that will get it to come off without damaging your tender threads, because we're not using heavyweight thread in the bobbin, right? We might have heavy weight in the front, but we're not always going to use that. And this just tears off right easy. So there we go. Okay. So I'm going to put this down, Carrie, so don't get, oh, it's in a fine spot though. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of give it a little bit of a ruffle. We should go back to that close up there. There we go. And then you can just get that started and you can just tear it off. But see, it just comes off really, really easy. Even if you're going to use a nice dainty stitch, it will come right off. Okay, so easy peasy, and look, that looks so good. There's no puckers, nothing there. So then that's ready to go into a project. So, all right, well, thank you for joining us today. I hope that takes some of the mystery out of how you're going to create an embroidery or a felt applique like this. And remember, you can do the steps with any applique you want to do, but it's easy if you have the right tools. So make sure you get some fuse and fix so you can transfer your design to have it stick in place. And then of course the Quilter Select Tearaway, which is my favorite stuff for any type of applique or decorative stitches that I do. I use it all the time. In fact, I'll give you a little bit of tip. What I do near my machine is I take this and I cut like 2-inch strips so I can just slip this underneath whatever I want to stitch on, and then I can just feed it right underneath there, and I just press it on, and then I can just pull it off. So it makes your stitches turn out beautiful. You have beautiful stitches, use them, and you want them to turn out beautiful, so that will help you with that. So with that, I wish you a happy, good week, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. And if you are interested in either one of these things, you can always check them out at our store, one of our stores in Western Washington, or in the Tri-Cities in Pasco, or check it out on our website at QualitySewing.com. Anyway, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.